All right, so here's our VPS score. So if you haven't heard of the value point score, I know on the screen it says system. It's based on a formula that assesses the player and team's performance and how well-rounded they are. So your points plus your rebounds plus, and then it's 2 times your assists, charges, steals, and blocks. So they give you, they multiply it by 2 because they are a big factor in the game. So those are all of our good things. And then we're going to divide that by our free throw misses, plus 2 times our misses, our fouls, and our turnovers, the things that just aren't very good for us. Now, this deviates slightly if you've heard of it from Danny Miles. Danny Miles was actually the coach, I believe, from Arizona, who first came up with this idea. His calculation is slightly different. Instead of 2 times, he does another number, and I can't remember exactly what it is. But using this, if any of you use Huddle as your stat platform, when you do your stats in there, it's calculated automatically for you. There is another one, I'm drawing a blank on it right now, I believe, that has it in there as well, but the VPS isn't something that's brand new, and you probably have it. But that's the formula. We found a 1.0 isn't a good average for us. When kids get to 1.1, 1.2, while it doesn't seem like a big deal, you're playing really good basketball. I had a kid the other night who was a 2.3. He was my point guard. 3 for 3 from the 3-point line, which helps. He didn't miss a free throw, which helps. But he came in with like 6 assists and 1 turnover. I don't know. He might add a foul. I can't remember all of his stats. But he had an extremely high VPS score. And I told him, I was like, that is the most efficient game that we've had anybody play at point in quite a while. So when you get above 2 point, you're doing a whole lot of good and not a lot of bad going on there. When you start getting players into the 0.7, 0.75, 0.8 in that range, I would say that they aren't necessarily playing horrible, but they're not playing great basketball. Anything below a 0.7, you're probably hurting your team more than you're helping it. So you think about, well, you scored 10 points, but you gave up 12. That's kind of when you get that below that 0.7, you're letting more good things happen against you than you are having good things happen for you. So that might be something that you want to look into in terms of your stats, and if you want to keep that. I actually had a middle school coach that I worked with. He did this for his middle school program. This was on the girls' side, and he found that a 0.75 was a pretty good score for middle school girls. That was kind of like our 1.0. So it was like, if you get a 0.75 in middle school girls, you're doing a pretty good job. 0.5 was kind of and below was really where you were kind of struggling with things. But that was really interesting to see the numbers. He calculated it all by hand. So he didn't have a stat program to do it. He wrote it all out on a spreadsheet. He sent it to me. It's kind of a neat thing to look at, but it has worked in middle school as well. Just to go along with that real quick, and then we'll get over here to the space change drill. I do decide my players. I will not do my starting 5 with it, but my top 7 really are decided by my VPS score. So if you're not in the top 7, you're probably not going to be the first or second person off the bench. You might get in later on in the game, but my top 7, they make up the bulk of it. And the neat thing about that is you can have a high VPS without having a lot of minutes, because you can get in there and do some good things without playing tons of minutes. But obviously, the more minutes you have, the more chance you get to do good things. So that is kind of in the back of my mind, but it doesn't just have to be per minute.